Section 6.5 is just a general compilation of factoring polynomials. So just a real quick kind of overview. How do I tell which form of factoring should I use and when? Well, whenever you're factoring polynomials, the first step is to factor any overall GCF that there may be. The second step, you want to consider the length of the problem. If you have a binomial, you're either going to have a GCF, squares pattern, or cubes pattern. If you have a trinomial, you're either going to have the ones that have a number in front or no number in front. When there is a equals 1, that's no number in front. Versus number in front. We talked about this in the last section, so if you need more detail, look at this previous video. And then a 4-term polynomial is always factoring by grouping. After you've done whatever factoring you determine is necessary, I always say double check for anything you may have missed. Whether it's another GCF, or sometimes you factor by grouping, and then when you're done factoring by grouping, you end up having a squares pattern. So just always double check to make sure that there's nothing else you can do. So as we are factoring, we have several examples. The first one, number in front, trinomial. You either do the AC method or trial and error. If I do the AC method, I end up with 20 and -2. And then I put it in the middle and factor by grouping. Letter B is a binomial. So I look at my binomial options, and this one is a cubes pattern. Actually, it's not quite a cubes pattern yet. It's a GCF first. All right, cubes, because A is to the 3rd power, but 250 and 16 are not perfect cubes. But if I take out the GCF, then they're perfect cubes. So that's 5 and 2. And again, that cubes pattern, talked about that more in the last section. Letter C, another binomial. I have a GCF, so I'm going to go with a -4p, and then get p to the 4th minus 81. And now I have a squares pattern. But wait, I'm not done yet. I have a squares pattern again. So GCF, squares pattern, squares again. Remember, the squares is only with the difference. It's only with subtraction. So the one that's adding doesn't factor anymore, but the one that's subtracting does. Part D has an overall GCF, but I'm going to pretend like we missed that. Say I didn't notice it has an overall GCF, and I just go for factoring by grouping. bigger than 4. So then we get 3x minus 2 times 3x squared minus 12. This one right here has a GCF. So I pull that GCF all the way to the front. And now I have the squares pattern. So this kind of keeps going and going. So that's the overall factoring review where problems are all just mixed together.